खुदा में रज़वी हो.
You know that we have been discussing this in sequence, and the intention of discussing these topics in sequence is so that we may better understand how and when this battle, that is the Battle of Karbala, took place, when we do discuss it in the next day or so. And we will truly be able to appreciate and understand that how qurbani and sacrifices have been given from the very early stages of the spread of Allah's deen, and how in every stage and in every zamana there was some qurbani that had to be given. And the qurbani of Hazrat Sayyidina Imam Hussain رضي الله تعالى عنه, and the Ahl Bayt of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the companions who were with them, their companions that were with them on the plains of Karbala. If you think about that, and you think about the very important statement that is made, is that Qatl Hussain asl mein marge Yazid hai, Islam zinda hota hai har Karbala ke baad. There is no doubt about this, that when the month of Muharram comes and the time of the martyrdom of Imam Hussain comes and we remember this, then indeed it refreshes our deen. It gives strength to this great tree of Islam because of this great sacrifice that they made. But when we want to understand this, it is also very important to realize that this was, and this courage and this bravery and this sabr and this forbearance that Imam Hussain radiallahu ta'ala anhu and all those who were made shaheed on the plains of Karbala, this forbearance, this sabr, this bravery, this courage, this himmat, this bahaduri that they displayed there was the result of how they were nurtured, was the result of them looking at the life of the greatest of Allah's creation, Sayyiduna wa Maulana Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It was by them looking at how the beloved Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam taught the companions, by them observing the behavior and the manner of the companions of Rasul Pak sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and more so by them observing the shan and the honor and the sabr of the Ahl Bayt of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, to which they belong. They are the Ahl Bayt of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And they acquired and they learnt all of this in the home of Mawla Ali and Sayyidatuna Fatima Zahra. So all of this that happened and whatever they faced was for the pleasure of Allah, was for the protection of the deen of Allah and His beloved Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And we will talk about Hasnain Karimain as the days come. But very important to understand that these are those Mubarak personalities, Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, that leave alone their shan, leave alone sacrificing yourself in this love, in their love. And when I say sacrifice yourself in their loves, is not what the Razvis do. Sina pitna, churi marna, striking your chest and beating and doing all of these things, this got no place in the deen of Allah. Okay? This is what the enemies actually did. All this tamasha is what the Yazidis did at that time. We have to be very careful where we draw the line. When we say that everything is sacrificed, you're willing to sacrifice for them, it means sacrifice in the way that you have been commanded to sacrifice, in accordance with the deen of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In other words, apne dil unki darbar mein hazir kar de. Present your heart in their court. And that is why the poet said very beautifully, He said, what are you talking about sacrificing the entire world upon Hasnain Karimain? Even if we say upon them it's different. Upon their Mubarak footwear all of this is sacrificed. He says, Hasnain ke nalain pe donain tasadduk. Hasnain ke nalain pe donain tasadduk. Upon the Mubarak footwear of Hasnain Karimain, both our eyes are sacrificed. And then he says, Hasnain ke nalain pe donain tasadduk. Donain kya cheez hai? Kaunain tasadduk. What are these two eyes? The entire dunya and the universe is sacrificed at the footwear of Hazrat Imam Hassan and Hussain. Mubarak, the sacred footwear of them. Why? These are those personalities who Rasul Akram Noori Mujassam sallallahu alaihi wasallam carried on his Mubarak shoulders. And I'm going to talk about it in detail when we discuss them. But just for us to remember who we are talking about and why are we going on this journey, is so that we can humble ourselves at their feet also. Said, but how? They are not here. How will you do it? See, physically and apparently to you they are not here, but spiritually they are always here. Because the shuhada are always alive. It is the Quran's promise. وَلَا تَقُولُوا لِمَنْ يُقْتَلُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتٌ بَلْ أَحْيَاءٌ وَلَكِنْ لَا تَشْكُرُونَ. We have been commanded to remember, do not even say that they are dead. In other words, do not say the word dead. Do not say the word dead for them. It does not suit them. It is not applicable to them. That even though they have tasted this by the command of Allah, Allah has given them a special life. You and I can't understand. Okay? Now, while we were discussing and trying to get to this journey of the sacrifice of Imam Hussain Radi Allah Anhu and those on the plains of Karbala, I took you on a very long route, and I'm still on that route. And I've shortened that route. Because if we had to go in detail, then we won't sit for 45 minutes. You saw the first night was 1 hour 15 minutes, and that was still not enough. And I've kept it 45, 50 minutes over the rest of the nights because of everybody having to go to work, etc. the next day. And the children that are here, they're going to school and whatever the next day. But on the journey we discussed the Anbiya Ikram alayhi salatu wasalam. We talked about Sayyidul Alameen Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. We talked about Hazrat Abu Bakr, Hazrat Umar. Today I want to talk to you about Hazrat Uthman Ghani رضي الله عنه. And looking at my time right now, I don't think that I will be able to complete an entire discussion and then start on Maula Ali رضي الله عنه. So inshallah today we'll talk a bit about Hazrat Uthman Ghani رضي الله عنه, and tomorrow we will talk about Maula Ali and Sayyidatuna Fatima Zahra رضي الله ta'ala anha. We'll talk about both of them inshallah Azim tomorrow. And inshallah with that we will give you a brief discussion on Hazrat Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain, and then continue the day after if Allah wills, and then towards the maqam of the Shahada, and then the Battle of Karbala in the end inshallah. Now, Sayyidina Uthman Ghani radiallahu anh, as we know that the first Khalifa of Islam is who? Everybody knows, Hazrat Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anh. That's the first Khalifa of Islam. It's not disputed by the Ahl Sunnah. Those who do dispute it, not from the Ahl Sunnah. Okay? So it's not disputed by us that the first Khalifa is Hazrat Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anh. The first Khalifa is the personality that was beside the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam in every battle. He was beside Rasul Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam when they went on the hijrat from Makkah to Medina. He was with Rasul Pak when Rasul Pak entered Medina Sharif, and he is even today present with Rasul Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Medina Sharif. Okay. First Khalifa of Islam, Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu. Second Khalifa of Islam, Hazrat Sayyidina Umar Farooq radiallahu ta'ala an, who came with the sword, left his home with the sword in his hand, that today I'm going to end the chapter of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Went to the house of his sister because he heard that his sister and his brother-in-law had accepted Islam. You know the waqia. And when he got there, he found them reciting the Quran, and he was upset and he beat her up. And then he saw that she was so persistent in what she was doing, and he said, "Let me see what you are eating." She said, You're not pure. Go and cleanse yourself, make black and come. Then we'll see. And then when he saw this, what did he say? He said, "Take me to Muhammad." Sword in his hand. Because on that day he left with the intention of doing whatever he had. Umar was feared in the whole of the Arab world. But when he entered, before he came to the court of Rasulullah Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Rasulullah Pak had already made dua for him. Oh Allah, give Islam taqat through Umar ibn Khattab or through Abu Jahl, whomsoever you wish. And Huzoor knew he's going to be Umar ibn Khattab. He came saying, what? I've come to end the chapter of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And what did we learn? That Rasulullah Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam opened his new chapter. He came to end. Everything was actually starting. The heart of Umar, the first page of the heart of Umar was opening. And he was being blessed by the dua of Rasulullah Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And this is such a dua. The dua of Rasulullah Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is such a dua that my and your Ala Hazrat Adimul Barakat Radillahu says it very beautifully. It says, Ijabat ka sahra, inayat ka jora. Ijabat ka sahra, inayat ka jora, dulhan ban ke nikli dua-e Muhammad. The dua of Rasulullah Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is like how the bride is, without comparison. It came, it left as a bride from the blessed lips of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But he says that when you make dua, you wait for acceptance. When all of us make dua, what we do? Wait for acceptance. But when the beloved Nabi makes dua, acceptance is waiting for his dua. Okay? Ijabat ka sahra, inayat ka jora, dulhan ban ke nikli, duae Muhammad. Aur ijabat ne jhuk kar gale se lagaya. Ijabat ne jhuk kar, the acceptance humbled itself before Rasulullah Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and embraced the dua of Rasulullah Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. इजाबत ने झुककर गले से लगाया बड़ी नाज से जब दुआए Muhammad. When the beloved Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's dua went forward with honor and all that splendor. This is the dua of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Okay? So, that Umar Radiallahu Anhu is the second Khalifa of Islam who is resting beside the beloved Rasul and Hazrat Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq Radiallahu Anhu. Third Khalifa of Islam, Hazrat Uthman bin Noori Radiallahu Ta'ala Anhu is the third Khalifa of Islam and the third Khalifa of the beloved Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. No doubt, Hazrat Uthman Ghani Radiallahu Anhu is amongst the most beloved companions of Rasulullah Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and he was blessed with very great maqam and fazilat. Okay? I'm going to just briefly explain Hazrat Uthman Ghani Radiallahu Anhu, Uthman bin Noori Radiallahu Anhu today. And to understand that something very important. Hazrat Uthman Ghani Radiallahu Anhu, when was he born? 6 years after the incident of the field. The Ashab field. When the elephants were brought to destroy the Holy Kaaba. He was born 6 years after that day. And Hazrat Uthman Ghani Radiallahu Anhu was amongst the early Muslims. Those who accepted Islam very early. But Hazrat Uthman Ghani Radiallahu Anhu accepted Islam how? Through Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq's counsel. Okay? Through him he went in the court of Rasulullah Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And Hazrat Uthman Ghani Radiallahu Anhu is that Mubarak personality that he is also the beloved son-in-law of Rasulullah Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam 2 times. Okay, and we'll discuss this just now to tell you more about it. You know already, but for barakat. Hazrat Uthman Ghani also made hijrah 2 times. He migrated 2 times. Okay, and Hazrat Uthman Ghani Radiallahu Anhu migrated first time to Abyssinia, to Africa. So the foot of Hazrat Uthman Ghani entered Africa. Abyssinia, which today is known as Ethiopia. Okay. That's why we always found that in Africa there's always a refuge for the Muslims. You look in history. Because when they went there, the king there was Najashi Negus. And he received the message of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam through the Sahaba Ikram. Hazrat Jafar Tayyar Radiallahu Anhu was also there. Okay? And Hazrat Uthman Ghani Radiallahu Anhu was there. He went with his beloved wife also. The beloved daughter of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, according to some narrations. Okay? So whichever you look at it, yahan to kuch fayda hai hi hai. Okay. And while I'm on the discussion of Uthman Ghani and those who went there, Negus, when Hazrat Najashi Radiallahu Anhu, when he received the message and the letter of Rasulullah Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and he accepted Islam at that time. And his mazar is still in Ethiopia. It's there. It's been taken care of. There was some damage done to it during the war that was happening, the civil war. But the Turks, the Sunni Turks, have gone and rebuilt it there. Okay, they've reconstructed it, and the Mazar Sharif is there. And to think about it, that his maqam was such that he passed away there. When he passed away there, Nabi Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam made his janazah in the holy city. Subhanallah. Now this is, for Hanafis, we can't do that. We can't make namaz janazah ghaib. Long discussion. Ghaibana janazah, if your janazah is not in front of you, you can't perform it. And that is why, according to Imam Abu Hanifa radiallahu anhu, I'm being brief about it, you can't perform the janazah of ghaib. But according to Imam Shafi'i radiallahu anhu, you can, because he uses this as proof. He uses this as proof that Najashi passed away there. One example, very brief. And Rasulullah Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam made his janazah in the Mubarak city. But Hazrat Imam Abu Hanifa radiallahu anhu says, yes, Huzoor did make it. But for us the janazah is ghaib. For Huzoor it wasn't ghaib. Subhanallah. For simple understanding. Okay, I'm giving the gist of the narration. So, he was a person, one of those who, the first batch of Muslims that migrated after the persecution by the kuffar, they came to Africa. And then after returning to Makkah al-Mukarramah, when he went back to Makkah Sharif, then again from there they migrated to Madinah al-Munawwarah. Right? And Hazrat Sayyidina Uthman, the Noori radiallahu anhu, was blessed with this honor, and we talked about it before, that he married Hazrat Sayyidatuna Ruqayya radiallahu anhu, the beloved daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he married her even before Rasulullah Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam made I'lan Nubuwwat. He was married to her before, according to some riwayats, before the announcement of the Nubuwwat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And according to some narrations, as I said just now, Hazrat Sayyidina Uthman Ghani radiallahu anhu and Sayyidatuna Ruqayya radiallahu anha together migrated to Abyssinia, okay, to Africa. And then they made hijrah to Madinatul Munawwarah. And that is why he is known as Sahibul Hijratain, the one who made two hijrats. And both these hijrats he made for the deen of Allah, for the pleasure of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Hazrat Sayyidatuna Ruqayya radiallahu anha was in his nikah. And during one of the nights of the Battle of Badr, Hazrat Sayyidatuna Ruqayya radiallahu anha passed away. And when she was very ill, Rasulullah Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we talked about this in one of the Jummahs, Rasulullah Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam left, told Hazrat Sayyidina Uthman Ghani to stay back, to care for her. Okay, in Madinatul Munawwarah, to care for her. And he did that. And I said, when I discussed this initially, that Rasulullah Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him to stay back. He did not come in the battle. He was not part of the Battle of Badr, which is one of the greatest battles of Islam. Okay, 2 Hijri. Very, very important battle of Islam. And the big kuffar were destroyed in that battle. Okay. But when the battle was over and the spoils of war came and all the other things happened, Hazrat Sayyidina Uthman Ghani radiallahu anhu, Rasulullah Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam counted him amongst the Ashab Badr. He is counted amongst the Ashab Badr. Why? What is the reason? He wasn't there, but he was counted amongst the Ashab Badr. Why? Because he was not just caring for the daughter of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was caring for her on the hukum of Rasulullah. That's the important point. He was carrying on the hukum. Example, without comparison for you to understand, if a person is in salah and the beloved Nabi had to call him, if he was in ruku and he left the salah, and the Nabi called him, he has to go immediately, leave everything and go same time. After the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam has discussed whatever with him, he comes back. He doesn't have to start from beginning. He continues from where he is. Because for as long as he's in the khidmat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, obeying that direct command of Rasulullah Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is still in Allah's ibadah. So likewise for understanding, when he was made to say that he is part of the Sahaba of Badr, even though he was not physically present there, it is because he was on the direct command of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it was equal to him being present with all the other Sahaba. Very important to understand. Allahu Akbar. Okay, this is the court of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Hazrat Sayyidina Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu, Hazrat Uthman ibn Noori radiallahu anhu was blessed with this. And when Hazrat Ruqayya radiallahu anha left this dunya, then the beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam let his second daughter, Hazrat Sayyidatuna Kulthum radiallahu anha, make nikah to Hazrat Sayyidina Uthman Ghani radiallahu anhu. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, if I had another daughter, I would have given that daughter as well. There are some narrations that say, if I had 100 daughters, I would give all of them in the nikah of Uthman Ghani radiallahu ta'ala, and likewise. So, it's very important to note that Hazrat Sayyidina Uthman Ghani radiallahu anhu has been blessed with this maqam. He has been given this maqam that, and I said this before in one of the Jumas, I think was it in Noori Mehfil, I can't remember, that Hazrat Uthman Ghani radiallahu anhu is Dhun Nurain. Okay? He is regarded as the possessor of two lights. A person who had two lights. What was the reason for that? The reason for that was because he is the only person in the dunya that has married two daughters of a Nabi. Nobody else has been given this honor. Nobody. Can you understand this? A personality who married two daughters of a Nabi, and not just a Nabi. Every Nabi is Mubarak. But the Imamul Anbiya, Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was blessed with this. And that is why Ala Hadrat Azimul Barakat Imam Ahle Sunnat radiallahu anhu so beautifully says, he says, Noor ki sarkar se paya dushala noor ka. Noor ki sarkar se paya dushala noor ka, ho Mubarak tumko dun noorain jora noor ka. From the sacred court of light you attain two mantles of light. From the sacred court of light you attained two mantles of light. Compliments to you, O possessor of two lights, on this union of lights. Okay, on these unions of light. How blessed and how Mubarak. How khush naseeb Hazrat Sayyidina Uthman Ghani radiallahu anhu is. Hazrat Sayyidina Imam Bayhaqi radiallahu anhu. Hazrat Sayyidina Imam Bayhaqi radiallahu anhu reported, he wrote this in his Sunan, Hazrat Sayyidina Imam Bayhaqi radiallahu anhu, from Abdullah ibn Umar ibn Abban Ju'fi, that my uncle Hussain Ju'fi said to me, do you know why Hazrat Uthman Ghani radiallahu anhu is known as Zul Nurain? So he was known as Zul Nurain even then. Not somebody now said it. Do you know why he is known as Zul Nurain? So he said, I do not know. He said, from the time of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, right up to this day, with the exception of Hazrat Uthman radiallahu anhu, no person has been blessed with marrying two daughters of a Nabi. Imam Bayhaqi radiallahu anhu also quotes this. Imam Abu Nu'aym radiallahu anhu, Hazrat Sayyidina Imam Abu Nu'aym radiallahu anhu reports from Imam Hasan radiallahu anhu. Who? Imam Hasan. Sayyidina Imam Abu Nu'aym reports from Imam Hasan radiallahu anhu that he said, Imam Hasan said, he was known as Dhun Nurain because with the exception of him, no other was blessed with having two daughters of a Nabi in his nikah. Okay? Now, there are numerous other discussions like this about Hazrat Uthman Ghani radiallahu ta'ala anhu. But, subhanallah, it is mentioned when it comes to the fadail and the excellence of the Sahaba Ikram, and even Imam Ibn Asakir radiallahu anhu says, Ibn Asakir says, that someone asked Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu, Mawla Ali radiallahu anhu. Somebody asked Mawla Ali radiallahu anhu about Hazrat Sayyidina Uthman Ghani radiallahu anhu. Tell us something about him. He said, he is that person who is known as Zul Nurain in the Jama'at of the Malaika. Not only here. Who said this? Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu. That he is known as Zul Nurain in the assembly of the angels, and he was blessed with having two daughters of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his nikah. And yet the Razvi slander Hazrat Uthman Ghani. They regard him worse than a Jew. They slander him like they slander Hazrat Abu Bakr and Hazrat Umar. And this so-called Eid Ghadir that they are now celebrating, the incident of Ghadir Khum and the barakat that were given to Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu is indisputable. You cannot dispute it. That maqam-e vilayat that was bestowed upon him, is indisputable. The maqam muhabbat is indisputable. You cannot dispute it. Because the Nabi said, whoever takes me as his beloved should take Ali as his beloved. You cannot dispute that. That is a maqam that he was given. It is a maqam of barakat, it is a maqam of excellence, it is a maqam of honor. But when these people celebrate this Eid-e-Qadir, that is only a bahana. They do it to show happiness on the wisal and the martyrdom of Imam Hazrat Sayyidina Uthman Ghani رضي الله عنه. This was started by one of the kings of the Rawafid to celebrate this year. So we must stay away from all these kind of things. Okay, follow that which our Mashaykh did. Follow what Sarkar-e Khaja Gharib Nawaz taught us. Follow what Sarkar-e Ghaus-e Pak taught us. What Khaja Gharib Nawaz taught us. What the other pious and the beloved servants of Allah taught us. Not what these people are teaching. What these Rafada are teaching the people. Hazrat Uthman Ghani radiallahu anhu is that Mubarak personality that he has received so many virtues and so many merits from the court of Allah and his beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he is that Mubarak personality that during the Bayt al-Ridwan, when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam took the bayat from all the Sahaba Ikram under the Mubarak tree, Hazrat Uthman was not present there also at that time, right? But Rasul Pak Sallallahu took his Mubarak hand and put it in his other Mubarak hand. And he said, this is the hand of Uthman in my hand. Subhanallah. Can you understand what maqam he has got? Think about it. Allah Almighty gave him this excellence, Hazrat Uthman Ghani Radi Allah Ta'ala. Some very important things that we should know about Hazrat Uthman. Few points I made some points, I want to share them with you. Hazrat Sayyidina Uthman Ghani radiallahu anhu, firstly he was amongst the early Muslims and amongst the earliest ones to make da'wah of Islam. Amongst the earliest people to spread Islam. Again, one other very great blessing, he was Sahibul Hijratain. He was amongst the first to make Hijrat. And how did they make it this Hijrat? Not on their own. Upon the command of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay? The other barakat, I'm just giving you a few things of his merits. That we spoke about just now, that he is blessed with being the Noori. The other thing, he is from the Ashara Mubashara. Those 10 chosen ones, who Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam granted the gift of Jannat while they were in this dunya. That Ashara Mubashara, that hadith of Ashara Mubashara I read to you the other day. Let me tell you, that proves one very important thing for the Ahl Sunnat against these Wahhabis. And everybody else who is deviant. See, we're talking about the Razvis and we're telling because their Damal is more in this time. But we mustn't forget these Wahhabis and all these other Deobandis and all these other Bad Mazhabs also. Okay? When the sword runs, it runs on all. Because all of them are the enemy of Allah, His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Let me tell you something. For those who say that the Nabi can't give, he gave Jannat. While he was here and while they were here. That is why he said Abu Bakr fil Jannah wa Umar fil Jannah wa Osman fil Jannah wa Ali fil Jannah. That is why he said it. He said Sa'ad fil Jannah, Sa'id fil Jannah. He gave all those 10 Sahabi Ikram. Why? Abdurrahman ibn Auf. All these Mubarak Sahaba Ikram, the 10 of them. Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah, etc. All of them, Rasul Pak said, this one is in Jannah, this one is in Jannah, this one is in Jannah, this one. But the Nabi was in the dunya. Yahan se baithe Jannat taqseem kar rahe the. Sitting here, he was distributing Jannat. And when the Nabi said, Abu Bakr is in Jannat, Abu Bakr is in Jannat. Anybody say what they want. When the Nabi said, Umar is in Jannat, Umar is in Jannah. He didn't say Abu Bakr will be in Jannah. He said Abu Bakr is in Jannah. And subhanallah, what the Jannah he got. Rawdatum min riyadil Jannah is between the Mimbar and the Hujra Mubarak of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is a garden from the garden of Jannah. But the Rawda Mubarak is the most exalted maqam of Jannah. Because where the Nabi will be, that is the greatest place. Medina is Medina because of Rasul Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Makkah got its izzat and its honor because of Rasul Pak. The Kaaba was there indeed. It is Mubarak. But it is more Mubarak because the beloved Nabi was born in Makkah al-Mukarramah. Okay? So Hazrat Uthman Ghani radiallahu anhu has been blessed with this glad tidings. That he is from amongst the Ashara Mubashara. The other thing, that he was amongst, Rasul Pak was always happy with all his Sahaba Ikram, but there were 6 particular, and I'm not going to go into detail, whom Huzoor was extremely happy with at that time, before his Wisal. One of them was Uthman Ghani Radi Allah. Okay? Hazrat Sayyidina Uthman Ghani Radi Allah is one of those blessed personalities, very early personalities, who was the Hafiz of the Quran at that time. He memorized the Holy Quran. And he is also Jami'ul Quran, amongst those who gathered the Holy Quran in the form of the Sahifa today that we have today. And he was blessed with so many barakat that he narrated so many hadiths of Rasul Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam. According to one narration, he narrated 146 hadith mubarakah from Rasul Pak sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam. And so many other blessed personalities took hadith from Hazrat Uthman Ghani رضي الله عنه. Hazrat Sayyid ibn Khalid took hadith from Hazrat Uthman Ghani. Hazrat Sayyidina ibn Zubair took from him. Hazrat Sayyidina Sa'id bin Yazid took from him, and so on and so forth. So he was blessed. And Ibn Sa'd reported from Abdul Rahman ibn Hatib radiallahu anhu. He says, I have not seen anyone who narrated any hadith more eloquently and in a more complete and clear manner than Uthman Ghani. Because of his manners, his style was very different. Okay? And he would be afraid to narrate hadith. That's why he only narrated that amount. He was afraid to narrate hadith because he was very cautious that I'm narrating the words of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, right? And Hazrat Sayyidina Imam ibn Sirin radiallahu anh says that when it came to the rules of Hajj and the laws of Hajj, etc., how to perform Hajj and do all of these things, that he said that one of the personalities radiallahu anh who understood this best was Hazrat Uthman Ghani. Why all of these things? Because he paid particular attention to these things. He had a lot of, and subhanallah, you know, Hazrat Uthman Ghani radiallahu anh was a very handsome personality. Very, very handsome. I don't know if many of us know this. That Hazrat Sayyidatuna Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu anh says that when Rasul Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave his beloved daughter Kulthum after Hazrat Ruqayya, in the nikah of Hazrat Uthman radiallahu ta'ala, the beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to her, what did Nabi say? Okay, what did Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam say to her? Your husband has a very close resemblance to your forefather. Who was her? What was the Nabi talking about? He said to Kulthum, your husband has a very close resemblance to your forefather Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam. Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam, and to your father Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Itna husn tha. This is how beautiful, handsome, bypass the word handsome. Even the word beautiful, we bypass it. Ibn Asakir reports from Hazrat Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anh. Ibn Asakir, he narrates from Hazrat Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala an, that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, I regard Osman as being the closest in resembling my forefather, Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. So it means, and the Nabi, if you look at the hadith Mubarakah, the Nabi resembled Hazrat Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. But the husn of Rasul Pak was beyond everybody. Okay, nobody had the husn like Rasul Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But in resemblance. Okay, so this is why Hazrat Uthman radiallahu anh was given this other special attribute about his beauty and his husn. Very, very little is discussed about this. You know, he's that personality who face time is going, and I wanted to say a lot, but I'm not going to manage to do all of that today. In the next 2 or 3 minutes, I'm going to end. Hazrat Uthman Ghani radiallahu anh is also that Mubarak personality that he went through so much of difficulty. Look, firstly know that he was Sahibul Hijratain. So he made Hijrah 2 times because of the persecution that was happening. So they were commanded by Rasul Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam to make Hijrah. Okay. And regarding this, it is stated that when Ibn Sa'ad reports from Muhammad ibn Ibrahim ibn Harith at-Taymi, that when Hazrat Uthman radiallahu anhu accepted Islam, his chacha, his paternal uncle, what did he do? He grabbed hold of him and tied him up with ropes when he accepted Islam. When Hazrat Uthman accepted Islam. See what they went through. Took him and tied him up, shackled him, tied him up with ropes, and said, you have left the deen and you have forsaken the deen of your forefathers? This paganism. You have left all of this. This is your forefathers' way. You left this and you have taken a new deen. He said, I'm telling you now, by Allah. In other words, he took a qasam, his uncle. I will never release you until you return to your old religion. I'm going to leave you in this state. Okay? Zulm. Look at the zulm. When Hazrat Uthman Ghani رضي الله عنه heard this, you know what he said? He said, Qasam Khuda ki. By Allah, I will never renounce this deen. Till Qiyamah. I will never renounce this deen. When they saw his steadfastness, they got tired and they left him. Go and do. Okay? Uthman Ghani رضي الله عنه. Now, on this I want to make a point. This was the steadfastness of Hazrat Sayyidina Uthman Zunnurain رضي الله عنه. And this was the strength of his iman in the very early days. Okay? And it's very sad that the Razvis refer to him as a murtad. Some of them refer to him as a murtad. Because they only say a handful remained Muslim after Rasulullah, all the others became murtad. They all came out of Islam. Now, can someone with such strong iman, they say he was a traitor. This, he was that. Can you regard somebody with iman like this, whom the beloved Nabi gave his 2 daughters to? Can you even think of saying any word against him? How detrimental this is. So, you must understand who we need to be with and who we need to leave. You know, the beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Al-haya'u min al-iman. Al-haya'u min al-iman. And the beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Inna al-haya'u shu'batu min al-iman. Okay? Modesty is from iman. To be haya, to have some sharam. You know, not like how people behave today. Don't care how they talk, don't care what they're wearing. No haya. Leave the men. The woman's haya situation is so destructive. Okay? But the Nabi said, Al-haya min al-iman. And he said, Inna al-haya'u shu'batun min al-iman. Indeed, modesty is a branch of iman. Okay? Now, I'm not going to give you a detailed explanation of the hadith. Sayyid Tajush has given very mubarak discussion on this. But for us to understand how important haya is, it's from iman. It's a branch of iman. To have modesty, to have some sharam. Okay? And the companions of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, Hazrat Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, he says that the beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the most modest person in my ummah, honorable and dignified, is Uthman ibn Affan. Subhanallah. Uthman ibn Affan. When he used to enter the darbar of Rasulullah Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and if Rasulullah Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam's libas mubarak was a little bit moved, or slightly different from what should be, when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to hear Uthman bin Affan is coming, Rasulullah Pak used to rearrange his libas mubarak. And the Sahaba Ikram said, Ya Rasulullah, Uthman is coming. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, why shouldn't I have haya in front of him before whom the angels have haya? Why shouldn't I have haya in front of him? Think about this, Uthman Ghani. And then think about those people who slander him. What is their shan? What is his shan and what is their hal? Okay? So Uthman Ghani, and I'm not going to go into too much of the other detail, Ghani because he never held his hand back. They say always make dua for barakat in your wealth. Even especially if you have financial difficulty. One of the ways of getting barakat in your wealth is making dua through the wasila of the name of Hazrat Uthman. Okay? Say Uthman Ghani. And then make dua, you'll see the barakat. And let me give you another simple thing to do if you have just one wazifa for you. If you have any difficulty, financial difficulties in life, when you enter your house, make salam loud. Make salam loud. And read 1 time Qul Wallah Sharif. Continue doing it. Within a few days, see how the barakat comes. And if there's nobody in your house and you enter, what you must do? As-salatu was-salamu alayka ya Rasulullah. Because the Nabi said, I'm in the house of every believer. Okay? Now this gives a lot of barakat. It increases your rozi, it increases your barakat. Hazrat Uthman Ghani radiallahu anhu, look, he was such a blessed personality, son-in-law, beloved son-in-law of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, married 2 daughters of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nabi finished saying, Jannati. Without comparison, bila tajbih, bila tamsil. Somebody told you, ho gaya tumhara kaam. Or told me, what will we do? Baki kaam chhore. I was telling Maulana Ahmad Sabir the other day, when you read in the kitabs that, your farz and your wajib is sufficient, you don't have to do your nafil, then you won't do those things. Why? We program by our knowledge. We program by our knowledge. I think, this part is done, so I don't have to touch it. Yet it is your nawafil that takes you close to Allah. Okay? Now, Hazrat Uthman Ghani, Jannati, everything sorted from the blessed Zuban of Rasul Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What more did he need? But Hazrat Sayyidina Abdul Rahman Taimi radiallahu anhu says that I was once at the Maqam Ibrahim and very quickly it became dark, night time. So I performed my Isha Salah. He says I made my Isha Salah and I proceeded to the Maqam Ibrahim. I went to the Maqam Ibrahim. He says I was still standing there by the Maqam Ibrahim when someone placed their hand between my shoulders while I was standing by the Maqam Ibrahim. From the back, somebody placed their hand between my shoulders. He said, I turned to see who it was. When I turned, I realized it was Hazrat Sayyidina Uthman Ghani radiyallahu. It was Hazrat Uthman Ghani radiyallahu anhu. He said, after a short while, Hazrat Uthman commenced the recitation of the Quran. Listen, our children will be coming Hafiz. Hazrat Uthman Ghani radiyallahu anhu commenced the recitation of the Holy Quran. He placed his hand between my shoulders. I turned around, so I saw it was him. Then after a little while, he sat down he started reciting the Holy Quran with Surah Fatiha. And he said he did not stop. He started with Surah Fatiha. He did not stop until he completed the recitation of the entire Quran. He did not stop. One go. He recited the entire Quran Sharif. He was doing this in namaz. He started Surah Fatiha and he didn't stop till he finished the Quran. And then he went into ruku. Think about it. Then he went into ruku and sujood and completed his salah. He picked up his shoes and he left. But in the first rakat he finished the entire tilawat of the Holy Quran. It is stated that Hazrat Uthman Ghani radiyallahu anhu, almost every night of his life, he completed the Quran in one rakat. See, somebody will say, how is it possible? This is the taqat that Allah gives them, and this is the barakat He gives them in the time in which they stand. Because they stand to recite for the pleasure of Allah. But something about Hazrat Uthman Ghani. Now what didn't he have? But look, he still did this. Okay? And he was always worried about his akhirat. Always concerned about what's going to happen after I die. Hazrat Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Rumi radiallahu anh says that Hazrat Uthman Ghani radiallahu ta'ala an, once he said something, touched the hearts of everybody. He said, if I was made to stand between Jannat and Jahannam on the day of Qiyamah, on the day of Mahshar, if I was made to stand between Jannat and Jahannam, and I was unaware about which side Allah will command me to go, I wish that before the command comes directing me to the sides, I should turn to dust. I should rather turn to dust. Look at his fear of the akhirat. Look at his fear and look at how we live. See, why are we talking about all of this? We are about to talk about Karbala, but I'm telling you all this, not just for you, I'm telling you for myself. For me to realize and for you to realize, wo kaise Musalman the? How were they? We can never be equal to them. It's not a possibility. Equal is a non-designation. Even close. If all the awliya Allah have to get together in the world, none of them can become equal to any sahabi of Rasulullah Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But something to think about, how kaise Musalman the? Look at how devoted they were. Look at how sincere they were. I'm giving you a simple example. We're having 10 nights of lectures. How many people you'll call? How many will come? We're not interested in when the 1 or 10 comes. But everybody will say that I will do this and I will do that. How many people are willing to sacrifice their nights to come and sit in the mahfil to remember the beloveds of Allah? If you can't sacrifice your time, what else can we sacrifice? Tell me. Look at the sacrifices that they made. Look at how much hardship they faced in their lives. You know, there is one hadith on the authority of Hazrat Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu. The Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, my hawd, my pond, my hawd in the hereafter, my pond in the hereafter. Now when you talk about pond, don't think about this dunya pond. You won't be able to understand. I won't be able to. The reality. Okay? My hawd, my sacred pond has 4 corners. It's just like 4 corners. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, the first corner will be blessed to Hazrat Siddiq Akbar. The second to Umar Farooq. The third to Osman Ghani. And the fourth to Ali Murtada. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said. Hazrat Sayyidina Shaykh Muhakkik Shaykh Abdul Haq, Muhaddith Delvi Radi Allah explains in Madarij al-Nubuwah Sharif that those who claim to love Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq Radi Allah, yet they have animosity for Hazrat Umar, will not be allowed to drink from their corners. And those who claim to love Sayyidina Ali, but harbor animosity for Sayyidina Uthman in their hearts, will also not be allowed to drink from the other corners. In other words, none of those Sahaba will allow you to drink from that pond of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay? Hazrat Uthman radiallahu anh, his entire life, it's a very, his time of Khilafat, if you must remember, the Zamana Khilafat of Hazrat Sayyidina Abu Bakr was 2 years and 3 months. Okay? And the Zamana Khilafat of Hazrat Umar radiallahu anh was 10 years and some months. And the Khilafat of Hazrat Sayyidina Osman Ghani was 12 years and a little bit. Okay? So it was a very lengthy period. So there's a lot that has happened in that time. Even Hazrat Umar, there were a lot of firsts, which I didn't even discuss because of time constraints. But during this time of Hazrat Osman Ghani radiallahu anh, numerous conquests took place. And the Muslim empire spread far and wide. Okay? But all this was for the pleasure of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hazrat Sayyidina Osman Ghani radiallahu anh became the Khalifa after Hazrat Sayyidina Umar Farooq radiallahu anh made parda. After the Tadfeen, 3 days after the Tadfeen, 3 days after Hazrat Umar Farooq was laid to rest, Hazrat Osman Ghani radiallahu anh, the people, the Muslims took bath at his hands. Okay? And you must remember, Maulana Ali radiallahu anh took bath at each of their hands. Whatever it may be. He accepted all 3 of them. Some people say that he accepted because he was scared. Because he was this and he was that. Sher Khuda Asadullah. If they say, Ma'adallah, they say he just used deception at that time. Ma'adallahi Rabbil Alamin. He didn't want to, but he was forced to do it, so he did it. So why didn't Imam Hussain radiallahu anh take the hand of Yazid? Subhanallah, Subhanallah. Why didn't he use that technique which they claim Maula Ali used? Why did his son not use it? Why did he not compromise? Because he knew, I can't give my hand in the hand of Yazid. My father gave hand in the hand of Abu Bakr Siddiq, Umar Farooq and Osman. मैं यहाँ कहाँ दूंगा? Think about it a little bit. थोड़ा अकल से काम ले. Okay? So, Hazrat Sayyidina Osman Ghani radiallahu anh, we know, and I'm ending with this, he was made Shaheed. And in the year 35 Hijri. And there are numerous narrations about the date, but the most commonly known date is the 18th of Zulhijjah, and that is the date that these people make that Eid-e-Ghadir. Okay? And they give whatever other reason, but this is the real reason. And it has been proven. Great scholars have said, the early scholars of Islam have said the same discussion. And if the need is presented, then we will present the proof for that as well. When it comes to the age of Hazrat Osman Ghani, there were numerous different riwayats as what his really age was. Somebody said he was 82 years old, somebody said he was 84, somebody said he was 86 at the time of Wisal. But it is known that he passed away in 35 Hijri, he was made Shaheed, he left this dunya. And Hazrat Sayyidina Osman Ghani radiallahu anh was martyred by the conspirators, by the Balwais. And you know, when Osman Ghani was made Shaheed, very weighty topic to discuss, very burdensome topic. Okay, the zulm that was done on Hazrat Osman Ghani, Allahu Akbar, by the conspirators, by the Balwais, that after they martyred, he was martyred, they refused to have him buried in Medina Munawwara. They refused. And some narrations state that for 3 days his janazah was left outside without even a kafan. This is what they did to Hazrat Uthman, these conspirators. And when night time came after this, then those ushaq of Hazrat Uthman Ghani Radi Allah Anhu in the night, they took him into Jannatul Baqi. And that is why you will find he was buried on a distant end of Jannatul Baqi because of this situation. They took him and they were putting him to rest in Jannatul Baqi Sharif. And while they were putting him to rest in Jannatul Baqi, they found a huge jamaat of riders coming, huge army of riders. So obviously they became anxious that could be the conspirators now again. They'll know where Hazrat Uthman Ghani's qabr is. You don't know what they're going to do. They'll attack the people. So they decided to do whatever and then leave when they went to make the janazah of Uthman Ghani there. And as they were about to, some of them were about to backtrack because they didn't know what to do at that time. And this jamaat of riders said to them, wait, don't go. Don't rush. We have not come here to oppose you. We have come here to join you in the janazah. We have come here to join you in the janazah. And it is written in Shawahid al-Nubuwah that when these blessed companions of Uthman Ghani, when they returned, each of them took a qasam. And they said, by Allah, those were malaika. It was the jamaat of malaika that came to the cover, to the janazah of Hazrat Uthman Ghani. Why not? Why shouldn't it be so? So Hazrat Sayyidina Uthman Dhul Nurain radiallahu ta'ala an, his entire zindagi, his entire life was for the pleasure of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Hazrat Uthman Ghani radiallahu anh did what he did. Hazrat Uthman Ghani radiallahu anh does not need any dalil. Any of the sahabi of the beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam does not need any dalil from any idiot to say that is he a sahabi or not. Okay, nobody needs any dalil. Whether it is Abu Bakr Siddiq, Umar Farooq, Uthman Ghani, Ali Murtada, Bilal Habshi, Abdullah ibn Rawaha, Hassan ibn Thabit, or Amir Muawiyah. They are the Sahaba of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We don't need anybody's dalil. They are the Sahaba Ikram. They are those who were in the court of Rasulullah Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam with the eyes of Iman. They saw him and they left this dunya with the eyes of Iman. They left this dunya with Iman. There is no doubt about the Sahaba Ikram. Ridwanullahi ta'ala majma'in. अगर सहाबा को मादल्ला लोग बेईमान कहने लगे तो अपने ईमान की क्या कैफियत है? It's something you need to start. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand these things. And as we said, they will give you riwayat. This hadith is mawdu, this is this, this is this, this is da'if, this is this, this is that. This shouldn't be like this. This has. राज़ियों की बात कौन सुनेगा जो जिंदगी भर झूठ बोलता है? Who will listen to those who speak so much lies? Whose foundation of their actions is based on deception? Who is going to listen? And if you listen, you are a fool. Anybody who listens is a fool. Okay? Simple terms. जो मुखालिफत करा वो फूल और जो माना वो फूल. Simple. Okay? So hold firmly to the Sahaba Ikram, and I've discussed this entire discussion. I started 7 minutes later today, so I've taken 7 minutes more. These Sahaba of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, why I've discussed all of them before we come to the Battle of Karbala. This is how the Mashaykh and the great scholars have discussed. They've always started at the beginning, and if you look at Mufti Jalaluddin Amjadi rahmatullahi ta'ala faqih millat, etc., they even use the same system when he wrote Khutbat Muharram, etc. I started from the very beginning so that people have, it's not just about coming here and telling you that this arrow was fired, that spear was thrown, this happened, and everybody to cry about it. No, it's not about that. It's to know how this all started, what were all the sacrifices giving. So when we tell you about that Shahadat of Imam Hussain, and when the tears do flow from your eyes, it will not only flow about what happened then, it will flow about what happened to Uthman Ghani also. What happened to the Sahaba Ikram and the Ahl Bayt of Rasulullah Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You must understand that they both go together. You cannot take one and leave one. Inshallah Lazim, tomorrow, Allah willing, I will attempt to discuss Sher Khuda, Hazrat Ali Murtada, Radi Allah Anhu, and the noble daughter of the beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sayyidatuna Fatima Zahra. And I will very quickly slip in there some discussions on Hazrat Imam Hassan and Hussein. And that will be the 7th night, tomorrow. And on the 8th night, inshallah al-azim, I'll talk in detail, inshallah al-azim. I want to discuss in detail, at least, if Allah gives me the tawfiq, I want to discuss at least 25 hadith on the maqam of the Ahl Bayt, at least, on the 8th night. And from there, I want to tell you a little bit about the maqam of a shaheed and the fazilat of a shaheed. And if I get time, we'll share some tafasir with you as well. And then on the 9th and the 10th nights, we'll talk about the Battle of Karbala, inshallah al-azim. And if you have some time, and if I, we'll, depending on your time, we'll probably have an 11th night where I'll talk about the aftermath. What happened afterwards? It's very important. What happened afterwards? We can discuss the matters relating to what happened afterwards. And obviously, it will be Garvi Sharif also. So we'll get the barakat of that. And then I'll let you know 2 nights later is the eve of the Urs of Sarkar Gausul Waqt Huzoor Mufti Azam Hind Shah Imam Mustafa Raza Khan Qaadiri Barakati Razvi رضي الله عنه, who's under whose name our idara is also. So we will have the Urs of Huzoor Mufti Azam Hind. Then all who will come from Noori Mahfil, all will come actually. Most of them that come from far, so obviously they can't come on the weeknights. So I will keep you updated on those dates. But this is the plan that I have in my mind to discuss on these next few nights. I don't know if I can do it with the tawfiq of Almighty Allah. If we are managing to do that, this is the system. Tomorrow, Maula Ali and Sayyidatuna Fatima Zahra, and we'll slip in some discussions on Imam Hassan and Hussein. And the day after that, I will discuss Ahl Bayt at length. And thereafter, inshallah al-azim, the Battle of Karbala. And the day after that, the Garvi Sharif also, and we'll talk about the aftermath of the Battle of Karbala. In my entire discussions, if at any stage, if I have said anything unknowingly that shouldn't have been said in that manner, or if there has been any be unknowingly, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive me for that. And if there has been any word that I've said or I've mentioned that shouldn't have been said, I make istighfar in the court of Almighty Allah for that. And I read kalima la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah for my iman. And may Allah protect us. We don't have the knowledge to discuss these deep topics. I'm just trying to do this for the benefit of myself and you, and so that Almighty Allah will accept what little we are trying in the love of His beloveds. Allah keep us with iman, let us leave this world with iman. Du'as for all those who are ill, Allah grant them amongst Ahl Sunnah Shifa Kamil Seta Ajil. Those that are going through any difficulties, Allah remove their difficulties, especially